Morning. I want to have a bit of a talk to you today about breakthroughs in our missions and purposes. And unknowingly, not knowing what our mission and our purpose is or was until we have a little bit of a breakthrough. Now, I'm going to try to explain something because I see it in the vision. And you'll grab the perspective once you listen to what I'm about to speak about. So, because after I had the breakthrough, it's like it cracked the shell of what I was working on, and then the goodness, or the not so much goodness, essentially the gunk that needed to be removed started to dislodge. So we've all got different gifts and talents, and mine, I've got the gift to communicate with those in very, very high places behind closed doors, and the inaccessible. God accesses them for me, and I build a relationship with them, and essentially I'm saying it's psychology or psychotherapy or counselling, but it's a mixture of everything. It's intervention to get a breakthrough based upon the major societal issue that is being carried by the bloodline of what you're trying to deal with. Right? So, I'm going to give you an example. I went to a graduation once for doctors, nutritionists, dietitians. Sorry, not nutritionists. A nutritionist is like a Cert 3. Dietitians are talking like the doctorates, whatever else, and the master's degrees, whatever else. Just medical health professionals, physiotherapists, etc. And after watching them throw their hat in the air, I was just, I was interested. I was like, what is driving you? And one aspect of me was thinking, well, it's all evidently entrepreneurial, but long and short, even doctors can be system-based thinkers, and that's all right. It is what it is. So let's talk about nutrition at the moment. I thought when I spoke to one individual that their ultimate goal would be to, have the next big breakthrough, create some sort of patent, create some sort of magical formula. Like, who knows? Just like whatever it is that they are trying to fulfill and go into the next direction with it. And I was like, no, that's what they're going to do. I was like, no. Turns out there are some, at the heart of doctors, they should actually be quite compassionate. And so for this one in particular, their goal was just to get we're talking the low-class socioeconomic individual, the 55-year-old man that's probably grown up on fried chips and sausages and drunk a beer every night of his life, to have a breakthrough and start to eat some carrots and just make some minor shifts and changes and begin to create a fresh direction for that specific type of individual. So for this, this dietitian that I'm talking about, their goal was to sort of redirect the lower end of society towards healthier living choices. Isn't that interesting? Like, you start to see it from that direction. So, what value does that have on a system-based thinking scenario? I'll give you an example. You know that obesity, especially someone who has like metabolic syndrome or diabetes out of obesity, do you know the weight that they pull upon the system is between 6 and 8 health professionals? So there's a few hundred grand a year that their choices cost them to a system that has to support them. And that word has, that bothers me, but we're talking for any taxpayer-based society that has an egalitarian perspective on their people, they will have a support system in place as a safety net for the well-being of the underprivileged and those who may find themselves in a little bit of strife. America is the worst example you will have ever come across for that. They have no safety net. No. You either work or you starve. That's it. And like, there's something in that. And then at the same time, here in Australia, and I've also seen it in the UK, they make a lifestyle out of trying to warp the system when you get into it, where the government pays you to exist. So, and then you get a lot of apathy because people don't actually want to exist. Anyway, back to it. So, I thought that was interesting to contemplate it, and it was only through contemplating this individual's perspective they wanted to shift some basic health habits of the lower socioeconomic group within society to get them to make some better choices so they could begin to shift the direction of a larger collective towards better choices in health. And so that's why they've done 5 to 6 years of study. It's just like, that's cool, isn't it? So you can then see, instead of being the entrepreneur trying to create the next world-class individual to go on stage and be some sort of great bodybuilder to get the glitz and the glamour and the fame and the fortune and all the rest of it that comes with it. No, they weren't about that. They're about making a difference, creating change. And creating change where others couldn't see the opportunity, but whether they know it or not, through the compassion that they were expelling, through the choices they were making, with the decision they took to be able to make that their driving force and factor, they have in fact saved the system itself if they can get this right through their marketing, through their awareness campaigns, through their lobbying, and through their general meeting with groups, children, schools, families, etc. They can save the system a lot of money. So, like, they're a valued health professional that's got their head in the right place and they're doing a good thing, right? So that's the stuff you need to keep an eye on, because you might not realise that that's kind of where your purpose may sit too, and I didn't realise that it's where mine sits. So when it comes to personal knowledge and qualifications and whatever else that you need to have, for what I do and where I'm at and where I'm up to, I've got. But I've been working away at something for a couple of years now, and more than anything, I didn't realise there's a brick wall I've been hitting. And it turns out the brick wall that I've been hitting, that if I was to have a breakthrough with it, that breakthrough could have one of the most profound effects on society. So my job was to be a succinct example, and when your goal is to piss excellence, like, that's just the goal. I'm not trying to, I am a Viking at what I do. I am very talented. That's not trying to speak myself up. It's just, you end up with effortless skills. So I had to actually find reasons to wake up each day, and like, this wall that I've just broken through recently will help me to find a new direction. But I got that bored with life itself that I needed to find a reason to wake up. And turned out people that I've been dealing with were going through the exact same problem, and they're that wealthy that they've broken through the ceiling of survival, that they don't need anything to survive, and they almost cause problems in their life to be able to create an environment where have a need for hustle, because that hustle is the only thing that gives them the ability to feel like they're at least living. Don't envy the rich. The rich, even though they don't have to fight to struggle to survive, the depression they can feel out of finding absolutely no reason to get up each day can be even worse than not having anything at all. You're like, oh, may they cry in their money. Well, may they cry in their money. Like, it's here or there, because it's interesting, as we're talking about the scribes and the Pharisees, we're talking about, if you look at the Wheel of Samsara, we're talking about the gods. So, likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto God. Just had my prayer turn up for the morning. So, I want to talk about something to help you understand where your purpose may sit, because I've only just come to realise a better understanding of it, and it can be in these basic choices that have such profound on-flow effects. So, I have been on the raw end of a pretty ordinary situation for a couple of years, and I've essentially been the scapegoat for some rather quite important people, where I will sacrifice myself in order to keep them protected. You're their security guard, essentially. And whether that be emotional, mentally, physically, whatever else, you're taking the hit for them so they can keep doing what it is they need to do. And that is what it is. Now, in regards to this, I've been observing some profound legal battles. We're talking global scale, and we're talking there is no cost that's too much. We're talking these are the bow waves of society itself, and everything else is just, it's the chips that fall off the bow waves, it's the chips and flakes off the boat, these are the motherships that cause the bow waves for everyone else to surf off. It's these people. If these are the whales, the world is a remorse, and it is what it is. So I've been dealing directly with the ships themselves, the owners. And just like with the lower socioeconomic individuals who have a commonplace norm of not eating healthy food because it just doesn't exist, and so it'll take a dietitian to actually campaign and lobby and market and do classes and bring awareness about, and just that type of stuff there to actually get those type of people to make a few different choices in regards to their approach to their eating habits. It's all about health, and we've got emotional health, we've got physical health, we've got, health, well-being, health, wealth, wisdom. But depending upon the state of your health will definitely depend upon the environment of what that health represents. So, just like there can be an eating dilemma with the lower socioeconomic individual, have a guess what's, I don't want to say an almost highly accepted, but highly tolerated and almost seen to not exist amongst the super elite and wealthy. Bullying. And it was just the most fascinating realization I finally had, in the same way that if you could get a 57-year-old man that's eaten hot chips and drunk a beer and just the greasy sausages to make a few different healthy choices to give them a better quality of life, that could have create a major difference. Maybe to the onset could be their family, their ability to keep employed, whatever else it is, and then that may not just be that individual, but then other individuals. In the super wealthy elites, the ones that have no need to wake up because they broke through the actual ceiling of society's wealth struggle, where they don't have any need to worry about survival, bullying is seen as normal. It's commonplace. There's a very high tolerance for it. So 999 is the number today. I've got it a few times. And yeah, you would have to ask the question, amongst the many other things, what's God coming to judge? Bullying. What is the biggest defect in a person's character? Bullying. Why did Jesus get slaughtered and put on the cross? Bullying. Who put Jesus on the cross? Bullies. Why is Jesus coming back in all of the Father's glory? Like a lion? To deal with bullies. It's bullying, and it doesn't matter. Like, they've sold their soul to the devil for fame, fortune, riches, power. They've lost their identity, trying to keep up with the different classes of society. But no matter where you're born, within the different class systems, whether it be upper class, lower class, middle class, blue collar, blue blood, don't matter. Bullying should not be tolerated. It is unacceptable. And so what has been discovered by, it's just a common known thing that poor dietary habits exist within the lower socioeconomic parts of life. Hyper strict discipline and the most disgusting domestic violence is seen as normal in higher society. Bullying is accepted as normal. Now, the problem that you've got with that is, so you wouldn't realise, like high court rulings and decisions and Supreme Court judges, all that's like just really high level legal battles. See, these guys are that rich that they can take something to the highest court that exists, and once the judge has made a decision, they can then decide to scrutinise the judge's decision and then do 3 more court battles, just because that's how it is. They felt about wanting to either agree or disagree because they've got their own direction, perspectives and objectives. But the problem that you've got with this is, I want you to remember this word, divesting. They're brilliant at divesting. They'll cut off limbs, and those limbs may actually be parts of society that turn into slums. And because they feel like no longer financing it anymore, everything will fall to the wayside because of their decision. But they are hyper ruthless, and they don't have the emotional intelligence to comprehend that there needs to be some compassion in their decision making, because their life is nothing more than business, and their decisions is nothing more than a chess game where they're trying to win something that they're, pathetically or not, waking up to each day just so that they can feel like they're living. So, like, don't envy the gods. Don't envy anyone. Just don't envy being human. It's not a very good experience. But bullying is the reason for why it's not a very good experience. Anyway, so, yes. In my line of purpose, amongst all the other great things that I get to do daily and enjoy, and it fits right into who it is I am as a human being, my greatest and highest calling is to change the bullying culture amongst the elites. Why? Because if they can see that it is intolerable, I mean, it's a sign of weak character to think that you need to be so violent towards others in order to be able to get a point across. But we're talking, they've got in their blood convict mentality. They need slaves to do their work for them. So if you can clean out the slave mentality of the super elite, and they can actually see that bullying is not acceptable, and that in their court battles or anything else that they experience, that it should not be tolerated either, with their court hearings, bullying is probably the major portion of what fights the battle for both sides. There's just bullies fighting bullies. It's the most ruthless, relentless. It's just, gloves are off, no rules. And they live a gloves off, no rules life because no one can afford to oppose them. They literally have to choose to be decent or not. It's just what they choose to be or do. So they have ultimate freedom as humans in that perspective, where they get to choose who or what they are and what they want to do, right? So my job for these people behind closed doors that no one else can get to, is to work with them to get a breakthrough and a shift in perspective. And I've just had this one recently. And see, integrity equals credibility. When you've got integrity though, when you walk in the truth, when you are surrendered to God Almighty, when your entire job is to just be for the service and the protection and the upliftment and the loving and the compassion and the kindness and the caretaking of others, you see through the flaws of what you would call society's matrix. And what these individuals are really good at is they've got very strong willpower. Unfortunately, what these individuals didn't bank upon a man of God having was something called emotional independence. See, society is typically based upon herd mentality, and if you can get the herd to believe something, and all you need to do is willfully, get the point across that this is what you must believe, well, it allows those in control to stay in control. But when you have emotional independence and you realise that it doesn't matter what anyone has to say or think about how it is you think or feel, no matter what power they may or may not have, there is a freedom in that it's actually bigger than a billionaire. And that freedom is pure freedom of choice. So I had to go through all of that to get through to the breakthrough that needed to be had. It's like, the movie Inception. I had to get through all these defenses to be able to put the child's toy in the heart to get the subconscious to wake up, to get them to realise that they've got to start making better choices. And I had to get through all the defenses. I had to get through all of the satanic garbage that comes with it. But it was the satanic garbage that was their downfall in the end. And it's not just one. It's a number, and there is a difference between being in control and wanting to have control. And that need to have control is where you will slip up. I'm in control of what I do because I am surrendered to Jesus Christ. I have absolutely no concern about being territorial. I just look after what God tells me to look after. Having this need to be in control creates territorialism, it creates top dog syndrome, it creates animal behaviour, it creates essentially 3D matrix. And no matter how smart they think they are, because they don't recognise that there is a God and that God is in control of everything, they've got a maker, that's their downfall, because there's defences that they leave wide open because they just can't see the fact that there is a God that is the only thing that can keep those defences shut. So, with all people, no matter whether at the top of the ladder or at the bottom or in the middle or somewhere in between, it does not matter. There is a flaw somewhere, no one's perfect. But as light workers, as chosen ones, as children of God, God will be using you for a particular industry, for a particular reason, and that particular reason will have an on-flow effect that will be quite profound if you can get the breakthrough. And the breakthrough ain't going to be easy. So, I have finally come to realise that my breakthrough is to establish a new standard amongst the super elite. They, as aware as they are and whatever control they have a domestic violence issue that is accepted as common and normal. They will beat the child with the rod. Do not worry about that. And as well behaved as they have, and as well mannered as they may be, we're talking manners, there is a lot of violence and a lot of anger sitting there, and our job is to help break the cycle. And if you can break the cycle with one, so for me, if I can break the cycle with these guys, it's the trickle-down effect. They are the peak of the volcano. It means the volcano won't explode, it's just going to start to overflow, and it will nourish everything beneath it, which is society itself. And they will essentially be the fertilizer for the next step in the direction of where humanity heads next. So, isn't that interesting, hey? Where does the power sit? Turns out the super elite aren't that powerful because they're quite weak in character, where their lack of integrity allows them to believe that domestic violence is normal, commonplace, and fully accepted. That then works into their perspective, the way they see, think and do, which then also allows them to think that bullying in their workplace, in their life, in their environment is common and normal, and because they think that that's normal, they are completely devoid of seeing where the flaws sit to that type of behaviour, where they end up in more trouble than they know what to do with, and ultimately the on-flow effect of that is the world that we see today. So, every class in society has its problems, and don't think that I'm better than you because I'm dealing with the higher upper class. I would prefer to be working with the starving children in a foreign country or something, but we've got to look after our own. And God has given you talents to do a particular job, and purely because we're doing what it is that we're doing, it is all missionary work for the kingdom of God. So my missionary work is to bring an awareness of bullying intolerance amongst those who have the ability to create policy change. We're here to change policy. We are here to create more acceptable laws. We are here to help educate the movers and shakers to make better moving and shaking choices. We're here to shake things up. Anyway, so out of this, I would hope that you can see that the nuance of what you've been working at, whether you've known you've been working at it or not, there is a huge reward, there is a huge payoff if you can get the breakthrough. God does nothing random. Any testing that you are going through is to shake you up, make you uncomfortable, help to make you the human that you need to become, because there is a reason that you've got to do what it is you've got to do. And you may not be clear about what that is yet. Like I was saying to you, I didn't realise that I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing until I had a breakthrough. And that breakthrough was I finally got through all the defences of one of these individuals, and they've had the aha moment. Your job may be to get an individual to have an aha moment, because that individual is the one that will have the on-flow effect. Did you not know that that's why God may make you unpopular? Because you may not be the one that has the on-flow effect. See, it serves God for me to be unpopular, because I will be popular to the right people. And the right people are the ones typically that see your value, and if you can have an influence on them for the better, they can make better choices, which has the on-flow effect, which can see, like I was saying, fertilizer for an entire society. Anyway, God's not silly. We're all doing what we're supposed to do, and we're all, breaking cycles, breaking down walls, doing what it is that we're supposed to be doing. But just like someone who's working with the lower socioeconomic society with making better health choices, you could want to work with prisoners and educate them on how to get a new skill, because if you get a new skill, Typically crime comes from not being able to make enough money, so if you can educate them on how to be more employable. So yeah, there are many ways to, and if you're looking for ways to fund it, I'm explaining this to you now because I'm telling you where you can find the funds. There is government funding available, but the way that you want to find it is you need to put a non-for-profit business plan together that explains to them, once you've done your homework, if you need, say for example, $1, $2, $3, $4, $500,000 to float an idea, that $500,000 might just save them $10 million annually. So sometimes it's not about what is it going to cost me. It can also be about like, what could it save us? The way that you want to help society, amongst many other things, is to find ways to save costs for a system that's already struggling. And if you can do that, it might just surprise you how it is, if you get in contact with the right departments and the right people, how they'll get you funds because they can see this will save us money. Help to save a system money, and that system may just save you. There it is. Rightio. May God bless you. May Jesus fight for you. May the Holy Spirit guide you and educate you about what has just been spoken here, and may you have a lovely day, and may the rest of your life be what God intends it to be. God bless.